So, good evening, guys. I hope you all have joined. I can see some 13 people. So, just post in good evening in the chat so that I know you all are with me and we can proceed. Okay. So, I'm just waiting for a good evening message in the live chat box. Yeah. Sushmita, Srilakshmi, Lucifer, Vaishnavi. Good evening. Vika, good evening. Others, can see some 20 of you who have joined already. Yes, Tulsi, Disha, good evening. Okay, I think we'll begin. So we'll just now pick up from where we left in the last session, which is last session we ended with correlation. So now we'll have to complete the second part of the chapter, which is regression. So far we understood that what is correlation? It's basically the relationship between two variables, some sort of relationship between two variables, which can be positive relation, can be negative correlation, correct? Because we saw an example also for correlation, which is for negative correlation, that is price and demand. Yes, because when the price increases, the demand falls, and when the price falls, the demand for the product increases. So this was an example for negative correlation. Now, what is this regression? Why is correlation and regression put together in the same chapter? So once we know that there is some sort of relationship between the two variables, okay? Now, for example, say between price and demand. Okay, there is some sort of negative correlation here because when price increases, demand falls, and when price falls, demand increases, correct? So we know that there is a relationship, negative relationship between them. But for us to understand at a given level of one variable, what will be the effect on another variable? Let's say, for example, now when the price is 5, demand is 10. When the price reduces to 4, demand is increased to 15. Now, if I want to know when the price is increased to 6 rupees, demand will definitely fall from 10. Correct? Because price is increased, demand will fall to, let's say, 8. Okay. Now, this is what is basically regression. We are estimating what will be the value of this at this particular value of price. Okay. Basically, we are estimating the dependent variable with the given value of independent variable. Now, in price and demand, can you tell me what is dependent variable? What is independent variable? Can you let me know in the chat which is dependent, which is independent variable? I think there is some lag. Just a second. Okay, so I received one answer where demand is dependent and price is independent. Very good. So price is what? Independent variable here, because when the price increases or decreases, it will affect the demand. Got it? So demand is what? Dependent variable. So now regression is basically we are estimating the estimation of the dependent variable at a given value of independent variable. Like we saw now, when price was 6, we are now estimating what will be the demand. So this estimation is known as regression. Okay. So just like correlation, in regression also we will have bivariate data. You remember what was bivariate data? Where we are collecting and analyzing the data for two variables together. That is bivariable data. Okay. So we saw that what is regression? Basically, estimation of a dependent variable with a given value of independent variable. Example, price and demand. Now, it is regression. Yes. So, you know that when the correlation is perfect, what is perfect? There can be perfect positive correlation. There can be perfect negative correlation. And perfect positive correlation will have upward straight line, whereas perfect negative will have a downward straight line. Correct? This is what we saw in scattered diagram, where the correlation is perfect. It will always be a straight line. Correct? This is what? Perfect positive. This is perfect negative. Now, whenever there is a straight line, understand there will be always a linear equation behind that straight line. The linear equation is nothing but y is equal to a plus x. This is the standard format of a linear equation. Now, in that linear equation, this b denotes slope. Okay. Now, whether the line, the straight line, the linear line will be upward line or downward line depends upon this slope. Got it? Which is the value of b. If value of b is more than 0, then your line will be perfect positive one, which is upward slope. Got it? Now, if the b value is less than 0, which means it is negative, your slope will be perfect negative, which means downward slope. So which line? You know that linear equation means it's a straight line. But whether it's an upward straight line or downward straight line, this depends upon the slope of the linear equation, which is b. It depends on this. Very, very important. They can ask you for theory-based MCQ questions. Okay. So if the value of b is greater than 0, you will have perfect positive, which is this. If the value is less than 0, you will have perfect negative, which is here. So this is about the perfect positive, perfect negative correlation. Now coming to regression equation. There are two types of regression equations. First one is regression equation of x on y, and second equation is regression equation of y on x. Understand, if the regression equation is x on y, which means that we are estimating the value of y, x, when y is given. I repeat, regression equation x on y means we are estimating the value of x when y is given. And that is why the regression equation will be x minus x bar is equal to exy into y minus x bar. On the other hand, if the regression equation is y on x, which means that we are estimating the value of y when x is given. Got it? So you can see here y minus y bar is equal to b by x into x minus x bar. So the bxy and byx are the regression coefficients. Just like you had rxy for correlation coefficient, we have bxy and byx for regression coefficients. Now bxy is the regression coefficient of x on y. Byx is the regression coefficient of y on x. Always remember, x on y means x will come first, y will come later. Y on x means y will come first, x will come later. That is what is mentioned in the byx. Understood? This is how you can remember. So how do we find this regression coefficients, which is bxy and byx? What is the formula? The formula is bxy is equal to covariance of x comma y divided by variance of y. Byx is equal to covariance of x comma y divided by variance of x. So you can see that both have the same numerator, because we have to understand this is a covariance of x comma y. Now, what will be the denominator? There are two methods which you can remember. First, you can see here, this is p, x, y. So, I told you x will come first, y will come next. Because y is coming next, this will be the denominator, is variance of y. Here also, because x is coming next, this will be the denominator. This is one way to remember. Even if you get confused in this, one more thing you can remember logically is the denominators will always have independent variable. Okay. So now, in the equation of x on y, which is independent, which is dependent? The x is nothing but dependent, y is independent, correct? So which is why we have y in the denominator. Similarly, in the regression equation of y on x, y is dependent because the value of y is what we are estimating. So it is dependent on x, which is independent. And that is why we have x, that is the independent variable in the denominator. This is one way to remember, which is the independent variable in the denominator. One more easiest way is whatever comes next, the second one, this will form denominator. Here, this is the formula. Now, for the same regression coefficient, we have another formula, which can be found out using the correlation coefficient, Rxy into Sg of x by Sg of y. Byx is equal to Rxy into Sg of y by Sg of x. So, both these places, we will be using correlation coefficients. Okay. Now, again, the standard deviation of x comes first because x is first. Standard deviation of y comes in the denominator because y comes next. Okay. Again here, y comes first. So, Sd of y comes in the numerator. X comes later. So, Sd of x comes in the denominator. This is how you can remember the formula. Here. So, this was about regression. Important questions will come based on this concept itself, which is to calculate what is the regression equation of x on y, y on x. Or they will ask you how to calculate bxy, byx or using rxy. These are the important concepts in regression itself. Clear? So one question we will just solve quickly just for us to understand how this regression questions come, which is how to find the regression equation of x on y and y on x. So you can see here example number 17.17. So the following data relate to the mean and standard deviation of the prices of two shares in a stock exchange. Okay. One is company A, company B is given. I'm taking company A as X, company B as Y. So mean is given, SD is given. Coefficient of correlation between the share prices is given, which is 0.48. What is this? This is RXY. RXY is equal to 0.48, which is what I have written here. 0.48. Okay. Now, find the most likely price of share A corresponding to the price of 60 rupees of share B. Share B means Y. When Y is given, you have to estimate what is the price of share A, that is X. Okay. And also the most likely price of share B for a price of rupees 50 of share A. So, first case they are telling you what is X when Y is given as rupees 60. Correct? Second case they are telling you what is the most likely price of share B, which is what is the value of Y when X is given as rupees 50 here. So first one is telling you that Y is given, we have to estimate X. So what is the regression equation we'll be using? X on Y. Okay, basically we are estimating X given the value of Y. So we'll do that first. Write down these X bar, Y bar, SD of X, SD of Y, whatever is given in the question. Okay. And one more given data is RXY. Copy all this first. Then let's calculate what is the regression equation of X on Y. Okay, so are you all with me? So we'll begin. So first of all, we are estimating the value of x when the value of y is given. So it will be x minus x bar is equal to bxy, because it is x on y into y minus y bar. Okay. So x minus x bar is equal to bxy into y minus y bar. So x bar is given. Keep x as it is. Minus 44 is equal to bxy. First we have to find what is bxy into y minus y bar. Y bar is also given, which is 58. Now what is the formula to calculate bxy? See, rxy is given here. SD is given here. So we can use the second formula. That is rxy into SD of x, because x is coming first, divided by SD of y. 0.48 into 5.6 divided by 6.30, which will be, that is 0.426. This is what you will get. Okay, so once you have got bxy, let's substitute now. That is 0.426. Now, if I solve this, x minus 44 is equal to 0.426y minus 24.71, or x is equal to 0.426y plus 19.29. Now, this is the regression equation of x on y. Understood? The equation will be formed in such a way that you input the value of y, you should get the value of x. So here we will substitute the value of y now. That is 0.426 into y. What is the share price of y given? That is rupees 60. So y is equal to rupees 60 plus 19.29. Answer will be 44.85. Everyone understood this? Any doubts? Please let me know in the chat box. So this is how we calculate the price of x when y is given. Understood? This is x on y. Similarly, we'll have y on x as well. I want you all to calculate y on x on your own. Now that we have calculated x on y. Y minus y bar is equal to byx into x minus x bar. Again, y bar, x bar is given in the question. We just have to calculate byx, which is rxy into sd of y upon sd of x. That is 0.48 into 6.30 divided by 5.60. This will be 0.54. From here, please calculate and give me the answer. What is the price of y? Okay. Let me know in the comments. What is the price of y? Because x price is given here, which is rupees 50. So right here, x is equal to rupees 50. First form the equation. Substitute the value of x. You should get the value of y. Anyone who's got the answer? See, all this will remain the same. X bar, y bar is given in the question. Just write it as it is. Y minus 58 is equal to 0.54 into x minus 44. Can you do it hereafter? Quickly. What is the value of y? Okay, I got two answers. 61.24. Very good. Vineet and Pratiksha. Absolutely right answer. 61.24. Others. It's okay even if they have got it. You still have to get it because you have to pass, right? So I'm waiting for everyone to get the answer. 61.24. That is the answer you should be getting. Anyone got stuck anywhere? Please let me know. Yes, Tulsi also got. Disha. Others. Don't just copy. Your friend is not going to write your exam. Right? Just 4 answers out of 35 students. What about others? Yes, keep the answers coming. 61.24. Quickly. This will be y is equal to 0.54x plus 34.4. So if I substitute the value of x here, will be 0.54 into 50 plus 34.24, which is 61.24. This will be the answer. Understood? This is one type of question which they can ask you. Basically, they will give you all the relevant data and ask you to calculate. Basically, estimate the value of x when y is given. Estimate the value of y when x is given. For this, we use the regression equations x on y and y on x. Simple, right? This chapter is actually simple. Okay, correlation and regression both. Understood everyone? Clear? Can we proceed? You all had so much of energy in the morning. What happened now? Hmm? Shall we proceed? Okay. Yes. So now coming to the properties of regression lines. Regression lines mean based on the regression equation of x on y and y on x, we will have two lines formed. One will be regression line of x on y, another will be y on x. So there are some 2-3 properties of regression lines. First of all, it is also not affected by change of origin, but it is affected by change of scale, which is both value as well as sign. Don't get confused. Earlier one, that is the R, correlation coefficient, this was affected only due to sign of change of scale, correct? Value of change of scale, no impact. Change of origin, also no impact. But regression line has no impact on change of origin. However, they are impacted by both value as well as sign of change of scale. This is something you have to understand and remember. Very, very important. So x becomes u, y becomes v. So if we have to find out duv, we will have dxy into change of scale of x divided by change of scale of y. Again, because x comes first here, this will be in the numerator. Y comes second, this will be in the denominator. Same thing. If we have to calculate dvu, v means it is derived from y. So y comes first. U means derived from x. So x comes later. Into change of scale of y divided by change of scale of x. Okay. This is what is the formula. We'll solve one question on this. So there is an equation which is u plus 3x is equal to 10. 2y plus 5v is equal to 25. We have to calculate. We'll go to the question one, 17.19. You can see here, this is the equation given. Okay. Then regression coefficient of y on x is known as 0.80. That is regression coefficient of y on x is 0.80. This is what is given. Correct? What would be regression coefficient of v on u? They are asking you what is v u. So we have to use this property. Always remember, new variable which is formed will be in the left hand side. So first case, the new variable is u. This will be in the left hand side. U is equal to 10 minus 3x. Again, so in 10 minus 3x, what will be change of scale? What will be change of origin? So 10 is change of origin, which you can ignore because I want only change of scale, correct? So change of scale along with the sign and value, which is minus 3. Don't say x here, it is only minus 3. So change of scale of x will be minus 3. Got it? Similarly, in the equation 2y plus 5v is equal to 25. What is the new variable? It is v, which will be in the left hand side. So 5v is equal to 25 minus 2y. Okay. V is equal to 25 by 5 minus 2 by 5y. Now, what is the change of scale? This is change of origin. You ignore. This is the change of scale of y, which is minus 2.5. Okay. Now, what is the formula we just learned? VVU is equal to, this is what they are asked, correct? VVU is equal to d by x into change of scale of y divided by change of scale of x, which is Vyx is given in the question 0.80 into change of scale of y, which is minus 2 by 5 divided by minus 3. Can you calculate? Get me the answer. Any doubts? Please ask. This will be 0.1066. This is the answer. Understood, everyone? So here, one thing you have to remember is when the equation is given, you have to always keep the new variable which is formed in the left hand side. I told you, x is changing into u, y is changing into v. So what is the new variable? U and v. U will be in the left hand side, v will be in the left hand side. Then you see what is the change of scale of x. That is this minus 3. Similarly, what is the change of scale of y, which is minus 2.5. Okay, once you get that, you can substitute in the formula. Very, very easy. Okay. I hope everyone is clear. I'll just give 2 minutes. Complete the answer. If there is any doubts, please let me know in the chat box so that we can proceed. Okay, I'm guessing everyone has completed the question. So let's proceed now. The second property says that the two regression lines intersect at the point of x bar and y bar, which means that let's say two regression lines ka equation is given in the question. If we have to calculate what is x bar and y bar, all we have to do is go for simultaneous equation method. Example number 17.20, you can see here. Two regression equations are given. 7x minus 3y minus 8 equals 0 and 4x minus y minus 11 equals 0. These are the two regression equations of x on y and y on x. Now, if they are asking you to find arithmetic mean of x and y, what is that? X bar and y bar. How can you find this? Simply go for simultaneous equation of these two equations. You will get the value of x, you will get the value of y. That itself will be x bar and bar. Clear? So whenever they are asking you to calculate arithmetic mean of x and y, given two equations, all you have to do is go for simultaneous equation method. That's it. Clear? Now coming to the third property. The third property says that Rxy is always the geometric mean of the regression coefficients. To put it in words, the correlation coefficient is the geometric mean of regression coefficients. So Rxy is equal to plus or minus root b by x into bxy. Now can you tell me in this case, why do we have plus or minus? When do we use plus? When do we use minus? Give me the answer in the comment section. When do we use this plus? When do we use minus? Quick. We'll have to wind up this chapter quickly now. It's a very, very easy chapter. Anyone? So when do we use plus? When do we use minus here? Not even a single person has answered. You use plus or minus there, right? When do you use it? When the sign inside the root is negative or positive. Okay. When both the regression coefficients are having negative sign, then minus and vice versa, right? Both are right. To explain this simply, just understand that if the regression coefficient of b by x is plus, if this is also plus, then here also we will have to use plus. Okay. On the other hand, if this is minus, if this is minus, this will also be minus. Now don't ask me, ma'am, if this is plus, this is minus, what is the answer? This will never happen. The reason being, Py(x) and Bxy at all times will have the same sign no matter what. Okay. So if this is plus, definitely 200% this will also be plus. And that is when we have to use plus here. Okay. On the other hand, if this is minus 100%, this also will be minus itself, which is why we will be using minus here. Okay. So inside the root, if both the coefficients have plus sign, outside the root you will be using plus. If both have minus sign, outside also you will be using minus. Okay. In simple words, to put Rxy, Bxy, Byx all will have same sign. Got it? At all times, Bxy, Byx, Rxy, all three will be having same sign at all times. If at all in the question you see Bxy, Byx have different sign or Rxy is having different sign, then the question is 100% wrong. Okay? Or if you have got different signs in any of the answer, then your answer is wrong. This will never ever have different sign. Note this if you want. At all times, Rxy, Byx and Bxy will have the same sign. Okay? That is when you use plus or minus here. Here, just write this down. We'll go to the last concept in regression chapter. Okay. So last concept in regression chapter is that you will be given two equations and they will ask you which equation among this is the regression equation of x on y and which is y on x. Basically, they'll give you two equations, and out of these two equations, you have to identify which equation is x on y, which equation is y on x. That's it. Okay. So for this also there are few steps. What do? First, you assume, okay, you make an assumption that one particular equation is x on y, the other one is y on x. Once you make the assumption, then you put it in the standard format so that you can calculate what is dxy, what is dyx. Once you calculate dxy and dyx, the next step is you have to calculate rxy. What is the formula for rxy? Rxy is equal to geometric mean of dyx into dxy. So after doing this, if the value of rxy ranges between -1 to +1, if the value of r what you are getting comes within -1 to +1, then your assumption is correct. Whatever you have assumed the equation x on y on x is absolutely correct. But let's say r value comes beyond this range, which means, for example, say r value is 1.5, which is above or beyond +1, correct? In this case, your assumption is wrong. Or let's say if the value of r is -2.2, which is also beyond -1, then also your assumption is wrong. So whatever you have assumed the equations to be, you have to reverse the assumption. Don't have to calculate again. Once you reverse the assumption, that itself is your answer. Because they will just ask you which equation is x on y, which equation is y on x. Understood? Like this. You can see here question number 19. Given the following equations, two equations will be given. They'll ask you which one is regression equation of x on y. So one of these equations take as x on y, the other one will be y on x. Calculate what is dxy, what is dyx. Calculate rxy. If the value of r comes within -1 to +1, your assumption is right. If the value of r comes beyond -1 or beyond +1, then your assumption is wrong. Reverse your assumptions, that will be your right answer. Here, so this is what is the regression equation. So here we complete the chapter of regression. I hope all of you have understood this particular chapter, which is a very, very simple chapter. Easy questions you can expect from this chapter, which is also an important one. So here we complete the entire chapter of correlation and regression. Now we'll have to move to the most important chapter, which people generally, which the students generally fear, which is the chapter. Yes, it is probability. This is one chapter which every student has a notion that this chapter is difficult to them. Okay? Or they actually fear this chapter. They believe this chapter is going to be entirely difficult. But first of all, remove that notion from your mind. This chapter is not difficult. Only few questions from this chapter will be complex questions, complicated questions. Okay. You can choose to ignore those questions if you wish, but do not skip. Don't make this mistake of skipping the entire chapter because it's a very, very important and interesting chapter also. At least I will ensure that I am going to make it easy for you all. Okay. So please don't miss this chapter because I'm going to focus more on this chapter in the entire today's session. Till 8 o'clock, we'll be studying just probability chapter. I want you all to remove that notion from your mind. I want to make this chapter easy for you all. I want to remove that fear from your mind for this chapter. Okay? You all should be loving the chapter as much as you love the entire subject. Right? So this is why we'll have to start with this interesting chapter, probability. Just remember that in this particular chapter, you'll have easy questions, you'll have standard questions, you'll have complex questions. The complex question is something which is very not very difficult, which is slightly difficult, okay, which is slightly out of the syllabus question. But the first two category, which is the easy question, standard question, I want every student of mine to attempt. I'm very, very sure after listening to this class, you will be in a position to at least attempt those questions. Okay. So once this session is done, I want you all to open the book, open the probability chapter. Similar to those questions, I want you all to try other questions as well. Even after following my approach, then you tell me if the chapter is difficult or not. Clear? So let's begin with this chapter. I want everyone to be 100% attentive here. Can you all give me a thumbs up so that we can begin with this new chapter, probability? Trust me, I'm going to make it really interesting and easy for you all. Yes, Disha, Omkar, Pratiksha, Mukamika, Sahana. Thank you. Nayana, Avinash. Okay, I think you all are with me. We can begin with the new chapter, which is probability. So obviously, because of the time constraint, I can't be solving every question out there. I can't be going into depth of every concept. However, I'll try my best to deliver every concept, make things clear for you all. And every concept, whichever question I feel is important one, those questions I'm going to solve. Okay. So coming to the first basics of probability. First of all, what is random experiment? Just a second. Okay. So what do you mean by random experiment? Random experiment means any experiment which you are conducting, if the result of that experiment, if the outcome of that experiment purely depends upon chance or luck, then that is random experiment. Got it? Any experiment where the result or outcome depends on the luck or chance, it is random experiment. What is sample space? Sample space is basically like a universal set. All the outcomes, all the results of one particular event put together is known as sample space. Okay. Next, what do you mean by event? Now, every experiment will have one result or outcome. In terms of probability, we call them events. So the result or outcome of a random experiment is known as event. Here, there is random experiment. Whatever result we are getting out of that is event. Understood? Next. Now there are different types of events. One is simple event, composite events. There is mutually exclusive event, equally likely events, and exhaustive events. These events we'll first discuss. Now, what do you mean by simple event? Simple event means that type of event which cannot be decomposed into further events. For example, I am tossing a coin. Now, tossing a coin is a random experiment. Why? Because the luck, basically the result, the outcome purely depends upon luck. I can't predict if it will be heads or tails. Correct? So, tossing a coin is a random experiment. Now, when a random experiment is done, which is tossing a coin, I will either have heads or have tails. Correct? Either have heads or have tails. Can I decompose heads further or tails further? Correct? Which is why these events are known as simple events. The events which cannot be further decomposed into any events. That is simple events. Now, what is composite events then? It is the opposite. Basically, the events which can be decomposed into further events is composite event. For example, let's say there is heads and heads, or heads and tails, or tails and heads, or tails and tails. Can I decompose this into further events, which is tails and heads? Correct? So this will be my simple events, whereas this will be my composite events, which I can decompose into further simple events. Okay, now next is what do you mean by mutually exclusive events? Mutually exclusive events are those events which cannot occur simultaneously. If one of the event is occurring, it means that the other event will not occur. For example, if I toss a coin, let's say that I am getting heads. If I'm getting heads, it automatically means I will never get tails. Or if I'm getting tails, it means I will not get heads. Correct? So both heads and tails can't occur simultaneously, can't occur together. Such events which can't occur simultaneously are known as mutually exclusive events. They are mutually exclusive. They are not occurring together. Got it? This is mutually exclusive events. Next, what do you mean by exhaustive events? Exhaustive events are those events which means that one of those events will necessarily or definitely occur. Let's say, for example, I am tossing a coin. When I'm tossing a coin, I will get heads, tails. Both these events put together are known as exhaustive events. Okay, it's not one event. Exhaustive events means both the events put together are known as exhaustive events, which means that one of these two events will definitely occur, correct? So either head will occur or tail will occur. Anything other than this, can it occur? No, which is known as exhaustive events. One more example. If you roll a dice, which are the different events or outcomes you can expect? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Correct? So which means that one of the 6 events will definitely occur, or also means that anything other than this cannot occur. Can it occur 7? Can 8 occur? Can 9 occur? Not possible. Correct? So all these events put together are known as exhaustive events. Here, this is exhaustive. So if we finish simple, composite, exhaustive, mutually exclusive. The last event is equally likely events. Equally likely events means the name itself tells you equally likely. There are equal chances of the events occurring. Okay, which means that if probability of A is equal to probability of B, these two events are said to be equally likely events, which means the events have same chance of occurring. Again, the same example, if I am tossing a coin, there is 50% chance of heads occurring, 50% chance of tails occurring. Equal chances, 50-50, correct? So these two events are known as equally likely events. Okay? So 5 events: simple, composite, exhaustive, mutually exclusive, and equally likely events. Next, what do you mean by complementary events? Complementary events is basically, let's say I am taking probability of event A. Complementary is probability of A dash. Basically, it's the probability of non-occurrence of any particular event. Probability of A means I am finding the probability of occurrence of A. Probability of A dash means I am finding the probability of non-occurrence of A, which is complementary event. Got it? So in this case, P of A dash is complementary event. Then union of two events, intersection of two events, difference events, all this we will discuss as and when we proceed. One more, impossible event. What is impossible event? Basically, if the probability of the occurrence of any particular event is 0, which means the event is impossible event. For example, you are rolling a dice. What is the probability of number 10 occurring? Can number 10 occur when you roll a dice? No, which means probability is 0. Basically, this is an impossible event. Here, okay, this was about the basics of probability. Now, next is the definitions of probability. You have different definitions. First is we move to the most important, which is the classical definition of probability. As per the classical definition of probability, probability of occurrence of event A is equal to number of favorable events divided by total number of events. This is a very simple concept, very simple definition. I'm sure you have solved hundreds of questions based on this particular concept in your class. So I won't be solving anything specific related to this definition. Okay, so classical definition is simple. Number of favorable events divided by total number of events. Now, for now, just keep the statistical definition aside. We'll move to the next concept, which is odds in favor, odds against. Now, let's say I want to calculate what is the odds in favor of event A. So, I will have to do, the formula is favorable events divided by unfavorable events. Remember, odds in favor. So, favorable comes in the numerator, unfavorable comes in the denominator. Okay. But for definition of probability, favorable by total. It's not unfavorable. Got it? That's the difference. Here it is favorable by unfavorable. Next, if I want odds against means unfavorable. So unfavorable will come in the numerator, favorable will come in the denominator. This is the definition of odds against. Clear? We'll solve one question on this. Very simple question. I want to understand how many students here have actually understood this concept of odds in favor and odds against. First question, probability of A is given, which is 3 by 7. Can you tell me what is odds in favor of event A? I'm waiting for the answer. What is odds in favor of event A? Use the formula, which is favorable by unfavorable. What is odds in favor? See, probability of event A is given, which is 3 by 7. Correct? So, what is 3? What is the formula of probability? Favorable by total. So, 3 is favorable, 7 is total. So, out of total 7, if 3 is favorable, how much is unfavorable? 7 minus 3, which is 4. Now, as per the definition of odds in favor, we want favorable by unfavorable. What is favorable? 3 divided by unfavorable 4. So, answer is 3 by 4. Okay. How many of you got it right? Sahana, Vivek. Just 2 who have got the answer right, which is 3 by 4. What about others? Understood? So, this is odds in favor. Now, next question. Odds against A is given, which is 3 is to 7. Okay. Calculate P of A dash. Can you give me the answer for this? Odds against A is given, which is 3 is to 7. Probability of A dash. First, whenever probability of A dash is given, you have to first calculate what is probability of A. Always calculate what is P of A first. Once you calculate P of A, then we will calculate P of A dash. Waiting for the answer. Odds against A is given, which is 3 is to 7. Understand using the formula. Odds against means What comes in the numerator? Unfavorable. What comes in the denominator? Favorable. Okay. This is a hint I'm giving. Calculate what is P of A, what is P of A dash. Quick, quick. Nobody got the answer? How do you calculate P of A? See, P of A formula is nothing but favorable divided by total. Correct? So what is favorable in this case? 1 second. What is favorable in this case? 7 divided by what is total? 3 plus 7, which is 10. So 7 by 10 will be P of A, which means P of A dash is 1 minus P of A, which is 1 minus 7 by 10, that is 3 by 10. Okay. Okay, we have got few answers. P of A is 7 by 10. Very good. P of A dash is 3 by 10. Understood? So favorable divided by total, we got P of A. If P of A is 7 by 10, always remember complementary will be 10 minus 7, that is 3. 3 by 10. That's all. Okay. Which is, I'll just show you a quick method. 1 minus 7 by 10. So when 1 is given here, it is a whole number. Whole number means what? 10 out of 10 here, correct? 10 out of 10. 10 by 10 minus 7 by 10 directly becomes 3 by 10. Got it? So 3 by 10 is the answer. Okay. So hope everyone is clear so far. We'll now move to the most important aspect of this probability chapter, which you can generally expect in the exam, which is basically the questions which are based on combination concept, combinations in probability. Now, first of all, please listen carefully. It's very, very, very important and interesting one. This is something I want you to teach very carefully because one of the important concepts which can be generally asked in the exam. Okay? Now, combinations in probability. First of all, before understanding the question, we'll have to first understand when do we use combinations in the probability chapter. How do we know that out of all these questions, this particular question is from probability, and that also we have to first identify how do we apply, whether to apply combinations in this question or not. How will you identify in which question will you apply combinations? For that, first always remember, whenever there is more than one selection to be made, that is when we apply combination concept. In any question, there is a question where you are making selections. Okay. In that also, if you are making more than one selection, you have to make more than one choice, more than one selection. That is where you apply the concept of combination and probability. So we'll solve one question. That's when you'll get a clear understanding of this concept, which is 15 point. Now I want all ears here. Very, very interesting and very important question. You can see here, example 15.6. A committee of 7 members is to be formed from a group which is comprising of 8 gentlemen and 5 ladies, which means in one group there are 8 gentlemen, there are 5 ladies. Out of that group, you have to now form a committee of 7 members, which means how many selections you have to do? 7, correct? So you're making more than one selection, which is why you apply combination here. What is the probability that the committee would comprise? We will just solve the first part now. That is 2 ladies. Exactly 2 ladies. Will you understand? So what they have told is there are 8 gentlemen. There are 5 ladies. First write this down. And please listen to me very, very carefully. I want you to follow step-by-step procedure for this type of question. So that any question on combination comes in the exam, please follow these steps itself. You will never miss. Got it? So there are 8 gentlemen, there are 5 ladies. Total is what is n? N is equal to 8 plus 5, 13. What is R now? R means number of selections you are making. You are forming a committee of 7 members, which means 7 selections you'll be making. So R is equal to 7. First, always calculate total number of outcomes. So total outcomes will be NCR. N is 13, R is 7. So it is 13C7. Now this 13C7, whenever NCR is given, how do we find? Using the formula n factorial divided by n minus r factorial into r factorial. But instead of going for this formula, there is one more shortcut way. Not sure how many of you know this shortcut, but just to understand, when 13C7 is given, always start from 13 and write this r number of times. Basically, 7 times you multiply from 13. 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so you start with 13. You multiply this in the descending order. How many times? 7 times. R number of times. Divided by, just have to do r factorial. What is r? 7. So 7 factorial. 7 factorial is 7 into 6 into 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1. Can you calculate and tell me what is total outcomes? So this will be 1716. Total number of outcomes will be 1716. And repeat the steps. First thing is write down what is n, that is total number. Next, write down what is r. R means how many selections you are making at a time. In this case, you are forming a committee of 7 people, 7 members. So 7 selections are needed. R is equal to 7. Next step, go for total number of outcomes. Total number of outcomes is always NCR. N is nothing but 13, R is nothing but 7. So 13C7. How do you calculate 13C7? You start with 13, multiply 7 times, divided by 7 factorial. That's all. Okay, so you get 1716. Next, go for favorable outcomes. Now, this is the most trickiest part. If you get the starting equation right, your entire answer will never go wrong. So, understand what they are telling is, what is the probability that the committee would comprise 2 ladies? Which means, in my committee of 7, I want how many ladies? 2 ladies. So out of 7, if I want 2 ladies, balance 5 will be gents. Correct? So out of 7, the committee should have exactly 2 ladies. Which means the balance 5 members will be gentlemen. Right? So what we want is 5 gentlemen and 2 ladies. Am I right? 5 gentlemen and 2 ladies. Now, how do you crack this? Just understand. You want 5 gentlemen selection to be made. 5 gentlemen you are selecting. Out of how many total gentlemen? 8 gentlemen, correct? So out of 8 gentlemen, you are selecting 5 gentlemen, which is 8C5, right? Now, you want 2 ladies out of 5 ladies. So it is 5C2. R is selections. So 5 you are selecting out of 8. 2 you are selecting out of 5. Correct? So 5C2. Now, always remember, here there is and. And means it is multiplication. Or means it is addition. In this case, we have and means it is multiplication. So we have to do 8C5 into 5C2. Now use the shortcut which I told you. How to calculate 8C5? I start from 8, multiply 5 times. Divided by 5 factorial, which is 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1. Okay. Into 5C2. I start with 5, multiply 2 times. Divided by 2 factorial. So when I solve this, what I get is total 560. Got it? So I get total 560. Now I got total outcomes. I got favorable outcomes. What is the formula? Probability of A is equal to favorable outcomes divided by total outcomes. Here favorable is 560 divided by total 1716. This is the probability. Clear? Understood everyone? Is it simple? Is it simple? Now, did you all understand how to actually go step by step in this particular question? So, whenever you see a question on combination, so first of all, how do you identify that? When you have more than one selection to be made, understand that that particular question is based on combination concept. Now, whenever you see combination question, first thing is go for N and R. Then go for total number of outcomes, which is NCR. Once you calculate that and keep, go for favorable outcomes. Favorable outcome will be what is actually asked in the question. Now, in this case, they said form a committee of 7, out of which 2 should be ladies. If 2 are ladies, which means 5 will be gents. So just write what you need is 5 gents and you want 2 ladies, right? So how do you write 5 gents? You want 5 gents out of 8 gents. Similarly, you want 2 gents out of, you want 2 ladies out of 5 ladies. Then here it is and, I told you and always means multiplication. Write this down. And means multiplication or means addition. This is what you have to remember. Now when you solve this, you will get 560. So probability is equal to favorable upon total. That is 560 upon 1716. This is the answer. Clear? Understood? Is it clear to everyone? Can you give the heart reaction if you like this approach? So do you find it easy or do you still feel it's difficult? So just remember, after the session, please try some more questions based on combination. Apply the same approach and then let me know if it was easy or not. Okay. Okay, fantastic. Now we'll proceed to the next question. Based on the same concept, but it's a slightly next level question. Okay. Question number 15 from set C. So you can see here, a packet of 10 electronic components is known to include 2 defectives. Okay, which means generally, a packet of 10 electronic components will have 2 defectives. Now, if a sample of 4 components is selected at random from the packet, what is the probability that the sample does not contain more than 1 defective? To understand this question, let's break it down. First of all, a packet of 10 electronic components is known to include 2 defective, which means out of every 10 components, 2 components will always be defective. Now you have to make a sample of 4 components. So out of 10, you have to pick how many? 4 components. What is the probability that the sample does not contain more than 1 defective? Let's come back. So I told you, first of all, write what is N, what is R. You can see here, N is equal to 10 components. R means how many selections you are making. Now you have to pick a sample of 4 components. So R will be equal to 4, right? So once you get this, I told you always go for total outcomes. Now, before that, just to get an understanding of the question, out of total 10 electronic components, usually 2 will turn out to be defective, which means balance 8 will be non-defective, correct? So, 2 will be defective, which means balance 8 will be non-defective. Now, how do we calculate total outcomes? Total outcomes will be NCR, which is equal to 10C4. Calculate 10C4. I start with 10. Multiply 4 times, divided by 4 into 3 into 2 into 1. So what I get here is 210. Okay, on solving you get 210. Now what is the favorable event? Favorable outcome means what is asked in the question. They are telling the sample does not contain more than 1 defective, which means that this does not contain more than 1 defective. Does not contain more than 1 defective means I can have only maximum 1 defective, correct? So maximum 1 defective means what? It is either it should have 0 defective or it should have 1 defective, correct? It does not contain more than 1 defective means I can have maximum 1 defective. Maximum 1 means either 0 defective or 1 defective. Now let's break this down. Favorable outcomes. So favorable outcomes equals 0 defective or 1 defective. This is what is needed. So how many I want? Sample of 4. I have to pick a sample of 4. In this 4 they are telling it can either have 0 or 1 defective. Here. Now how do I write this 0 defective? So when I'm picking 4 sample components I'm picking, in that I should have 0 defective, which means all 4 components I'm picking should be non-defective only. Understanding? I'm picking 4 components out of which it should be 0 defective, which means that all 4 components should be non-defective. I can write this as I want 4 non-defective. Out of how many non-defective? 8 non-defective. So 8C4. I'm picking 4 components which should be non-defective from 8 non-defective. Correct? Second part of the question, second part here. Out of 4 components, 1 component will be defective, which means out of 4, 1 defective means balance 3 will be non-defective. Correct? So how to write this? I want 1 defective out of how many defective? 2 defective. So 2C1. Then I want 3 non-defective out of 8 non-defective. So this will be 8C3. I want 1 defective, 3 non-defective. Correct? 1 defective, 3 non-defective. Is it and or is it or? I want 1 and I want 3. Correct? So if it is and, we will use multiplication here. Right? So this is sorted. Now here you can see or in between. So this is for 0 defective. This is for 1 defective. There is or in between. In place of or, there will be plus. So basically, I want 8C4 plus 2C1 into 8C3. On solving this, 8, 7, 6, 5 divided by 4, 3, 2, 1 plus 2C1 is 2 into 8, 7, 6 divided by 3 factorial. Solve this, you will get 70 plus 112, which is 182. This is what you will get as favorable outcomes. Okay. Now, calculate probability. Probability of A equals favorable upon total. Favorable is 182 upon total is 210. If you simplify this, you will get 13 upon 15. So yes, very good, Vivek. Answer is 13 upon 15. Okay. Understood this question? So please follow this method exactly as it is. Like I told you, first always go for what is N. Next go for what is R. So once you get N and R, the next step is calculate total outcomes. Once you get total outcomes, next understand what is asked in the question, that is your event. So here the question says it does not contain more than 1 defective, which means maximum 1 defective can be there. Maximum 1 means either 0 defective or 1 defective. Now we have to break this down for favorable outcomes. 0 defective, 1 defective. 0 defective means out of 4, nothing should be defective, which means all 4 should be non-defective. So I'm picking 4 non-defective out of total 8 non-defective. Next, out of 4, I want 1 defective, which means the balance 3 will be non-defective. So 1 defective out of total 2 defectives, 3 non-defective out of 8 non-defectives. I want 1 as well as 3, and that's why there is multiplication here. Because there is OR here, I have addition here. That's all. So when you solve this, you will get 182. So probability will be favorable outcomes divided by total outcomes, which is 210. This is the right answer. Understood, everyone? Clear? Now, do you find this difficult? Please, after the session, solve questions on combinations again. That's when you realize whether you have understood this clearly or not. Okay? So if you found this approach easy, if you feel things are clear, can you give me a thumbs up so that we can take a break of 2 minutes and then proceed? Solve more and more questions on this. That's when you realize that these concepts are actually easy, which seem difficult. Only if you go step by step, like I told you, and or everything should be written very, very carefully. That's when you will get the right answer. Any doubts, please don't hesitate. Ask me in the chat box. I'll definitely address your doubts. Okay, Disha, Vivek, Neha, Sushmita, understood? What about others? Did not understand yet? I can explain again. Okay, for now, let's take a break of 2 minutes. I'll just be back. Meanwhile, you can just go through the concepts once again, which I've just explained. Okay, so I'm assuming you have looked into the concept. Things are clear. We can proceed now, right? Okay, now we'll move to the next question. Okay. So the next concept is so first of all, we have De Morgan's law here. Now, what is De Morgan's law? Probability of A union B whole dash is equal to probability of A dash intersection B dash. I hope you know this. Probability of A intersection B whole dash is equal to probability of A dash union B dash. Basically, this dash you are applying for both A as well as B as well as for intersection. So there will be A in A dash, there will be B dash, and intersection ka reverse is what? Union. So basically probability of A dash union B dash. Next, very important. Let's say the three events A, B and C are mutually exclusive events. If the events are mutually exclusive means the three of them cannot occur simultaneously, which means that if one event occurs, let's say A occurs, B cannot occur, C cannot occur. Or if B occurs, A cannot occur, C cannot occur. Correct? So if these three are mutually exclusive events, there is nothing common between them. So P of A intersection B intersection C is equal to 0. Next, exhaustive events. Exhaustive events means P of A union B union C will be equal to 1. If you remember, I told you all of them put together is exhaustive events. So all these put together is the sample space, which is 1. Okay. Next, if they are equally likely events, like we discussed, that is when you toss a coin, the probability of getting a heads and probability of getting a tail, both are equal. So equally likely events means P of A equals P of B equals P of C. Okay. All three have same probability, that is equally likely events. So based on this concept, one question we will solve. 15.8, you can see that three events A, B and C are mutually exclusive, they are exhaustive and they are equally likely. What is the probability of the complementary event of A? So what are they asking? They are telling three events A, B and C are mutually exclusive, they are exhaustive and they are also equally likely events. Correct? So they're saying if they are mutually exclusive, if the events are mutually exclusive, then P of A intersection B intersection C will be equal to 0. Correct? Now, because they are mutually exhaustive events, which means P of A union B union C will be always equal to 1. Then they said they are also equally likely events. So P of A plus P of B, sorry, P of A equals P of B equals P of C. Correct? This is equally likely. This is for mutually exclusive events. This is for exhaustive events. And this is for equally likely events. Understood? Now they are asking you what is P of complementary event of A. Basically, they are asking you what is P of A dash. This is what they are asking you. So when such question is there, always remember, you can start with this. Okay. Basically, you can start with the formula of probability of A union B union C is equal to. Now understand, if the events are mutually exclusive events, which means that their intersection will be always equal to 0. Can you tell me what is the actual formula for P of A union B union C? It will actually be P of A plus P of B plus P of C minus P of A intersection B minus P of A intersection C minus P of B intersection C plus P of A intersection B intersection C. This is the actual formula for P of A union B union C. But because they are mutually exclusive events, which means their intersection will be equal to 0. So all this intersection, whatever is there, will be 0. Because it is 0, I can straight away remove this from the formula. Right? So what remains is P of A plus P of B plus P of C. Now, second point, P of A union B union C is given as what? 1. So I can write 1 here. 1 is equal to P of A plus P of B plus P of C. Now understand the hint. I told you whenever P of A dash is asked, you need to first calculate P of A. Right? You need to calculate P of A first. So you know that P of A is what I want. So somehow I want to keep all three as P of A only so that I get the answer for P of A. You can take the hint of this. Because they're equally likely events, P of A will be equal to P of B, will be equal to P of C. All three are equal. So 1 is equal to P of A. I'll write this as it is. Can I write instead of P of B, P of A itself? Yes, because they are equal. Instead of P of C, can I write P of A itself? Again, they are equal. Correct? So 1 is equal to 3 P of A. And therefore, P of A will be equal to 1 by 3. I know that P of A is equal to 1 by 3. What will be P of A dash? 1 minus 1 by 3, which is 2 by 3. This will be P of A dash. Here. So write this down. We'll then proceed to the next question. So just to repeat, this is based on 3 concepts. One, if it is mutually exclusive event, they can't occur simultaneously, which means there is nothing common in between them. So intersection will be equal to 0. If they're exhaustive, their union will be equal to 1. And if they're equally likely, all three will be equal. Okay. So you have to use this formula of P of A union B union C is equal to P of A plus P of B plus P of C. Now, P of A union B union C, we know that it is equal to 1. So, 1 equals 3. Now, because all three are equal, in the place of A, B and C, I will write A itself because I want to calculate what is P of A. Correct? So, 3 times P of A is equal to 1. P of A is equal to 1 by 3. So, once I get P of A, I can calculate P of A dash, which is 1 minus 1 by 3. That is 2 by 3. This is the answer. Yeah, I hope things are clear now. Has everyone copied this? Can we proceed? If yes, write yes in the comment box. Is everyone done copying? Can we proceed? Okay, let's proceed now. So addition theorems are there based on the set-based probability approach. Probability of A union B is equal to P of A plus P of B minus P of A intersection B. This you must be knowing because it's very, very Just a second. My mistake. Right. So P of A union B is equal to P of A plus P of B minus P of A intersection B. This is the usual formula. Now understand, if these two events, which is A and B, are mutually exclusive events, there is nothing common between the two, which means P of A intersection B will be equal to 0. Correct? There will be no P of A intersection B. And which is why in the formula we can make a small adjustment. P of A union B will be P of A plus P of B in case they are mutually exclusive events. Got it? If they are mutually exclusive events, then it is just P of A plus P of B. If they are not mutually exclusive events, this is the full formula. Understood? Because if they are mutually exclusive, this intersection becomes 0. So you can remove this from the formula. You can just keep P of A plus P of B. Understood? Now, based on this, there's one more concept. If I have to calculate what is probability of A minus B, this is the formula. Probability of A minus probability of A intersection B. Let me show you this in detail. P of A minus B is equal to P of A minus P of A intersection B. To show you in the form of a Venn diagram, say this is A, this is B. This entire circle is A, correct? And this is entirely B. There is something which is common between the two. This area, right? The black area, the black region, that is A intersection B. Now this area is A minus B and this area is B minus A. A minus B is also known as only A. B minus A is also known as only B, which means in that region, the only A region, there is nothing which belongs to B, that is this area. Got it? The only area which is of A only. Similarly, here you can see this area which is B minus A is only B, which means only B elements are there in that area. Okay. So now you understood this part is A minus B, which is only A. This part is B minus A, which is only B. So now you understand this formula, very, very easy. P of A minus B. P of A minus B, that is this area, is nothing but you take full A first and remove this intersection. Correct? You take full A first and remove the common region, this region. This region you remove. So that is exactly the formula. You take full A first, that is probability of A minus probability of A intersection B. Correct? So this is the formula. Now, instead of giving probability of A minus B in the question, they can put this differently. You know what will they ask? P of A intersection B dash. You know what does this mean? It means probability of occurrence of A is occurrence of A as well as non-occurrence of B. Understanding? Probability of occurrence of A, that A will occur as well as intersection means and, okay, and B will not occur. So A will occur, B will not occur means only A will occur. Only A will occur means it is A minus B. Very, very important for you to understand. I'll repeat. P of A minus B, I can also write as P of A minus B means only A. Only A means only A will occur, B will not occur. Understood? So remember, in the set language, intersection is and, union is or. So here A will occur and B will not occur. This is how they can ask you in the question, which means one and the same. The formula will be P of A minus P of A intersection B. Now similarly, if I ask you what is probability of B minus A, which means probability of only B, this portion. Probability of only B. This will be written as probability of A will not occur and B will occur. Occurrence of B, non-occurrence of A. Occurrence of B, non-occurrence of A. Okay, the formula will be, I take full B first. Okay, that is full B first and then remove the intersection region. So it is P of B minus P of A intersection B. Simple. Using logic, you understood how this is calculated. P of A minus B also means only A. Only A means only A will occur, B will not occur. Correct? The formula is P of A minus P of A intersection B. Similarly, B minus A means only B. Only B means B will occur, A will not occur. That is P of B minus P of A intersection B. Clear? This is very, very, very important. Write this down if you want, which is these two lines. Okay, and this you write. Intersection means and, union means or. And then we'll solve one question on this. Okay. I'm assuming everyone understood. We'll proceed. Okay. Solve one question on this set B, question number 9. So for two events, A and B, probability of B is given, which is 0.3. Probability of A but not B is given, which is 0.4. Probability of not A is given, which is 0.6. The events A and B are options, whether they are exhaustive, whether they are independent, whether they are equally likely, whether they are mutually exclusive. Okay. So what is given first of all? Probability of B is given, which is 0.3. Next, probability of A but not B. Remember, we just learned now probability of occurrence of A but not B. That is only A. Correct? A but not B means only A. Only A is written as A intersection B dash. Which is equal to 0.4. Probability of not A. Not A means complementary of A. That is P of A dash is given, which is 0.6. Now they are asking these events A and B are whether they are exhaustive, whether they are independent, whether they are equally likely, whether they are mutually exclusive. So what we can do is, first we can check whether they are mutually exclusive or not. And right here, P of B is equal to 0.3. P of A minus B is given, which is P of A dash 0.4. P of A dash is equal to 0.60. Now, if P of A dash is equal to 0.60, what will be P of A? 1 minus 0.60, which is 0.40. Correct? So, if the events are mutually exclusive, which means they should have nothing in common. Like I told you, exclusive means if one is occurring, the other will not occur. So if they cannot occur simultaneously, there is nothing common between them, which means probability of A intersection B will always be equal to 0. Let's check this. Now, what is the formula to find probability of A intersection B? Before this, what else is given? Probability of A minus B is given. What is the formula for probability of A minus B? P of A minus P of A intersection B. Correct? Now, is P of A minus B given? Yes, which is 0.4 is equal to P of A we just calculated, which is 0.4 minus P of A intersection B. Now, find what is P of A intersection B. P of A intersection B is equal to 0.4 minus 0.4, which is 0. So if the intersection A intersection B is equal to 0, which means that the events are mutually exclusive. That's all. We have already got the answer that the events are mutually exclusive events. Understood? So we go from options to question. To establish the mutually exclusive event, the condition is that P of A intersection B should be equal to 0. Correct? So we just checked whether P of A intersection B is equal to 0 using this formula. P of A minus B is equal to P of A minus P of A intersection B. So you can see here, this is 0. If this is 0, which means that the events are mutually exclusive. Clear? Write this down. We will then proceed to the next concept. We proceed. Understood so far? Just to check your understanding, this one question we will quickly discuss. Question number 18. I want you all to answer for 3 events, which is A, B, and C. The probability that only A occurs is, you don't have to calculate anything. You just have to apply the concept which I have just explained. Probability that only A occurs is, there are 3 events A, B, and C, where they are telling only A should occur, which means B and C should not occur. Can you tell me what is the option? Which option is correct? Only A should occur, which means that event B and C should not occur, only A should occur. Which is the right option? And see the options here. Only A should occur, which means B and C should not occur. Don't have to calculate anything. Just understand the concept and get the answer. Look at the options first. That's when you will understand. Pratiksha answered. Disha answered. Anybody else? They are saying it is D. Anybody else who has a different answer? Chandana said it is D. Others? You will have some answer, right? Okay. So it is right option, which is option D. You all are right. Option D is the right answer because here you can see only A is occurring. B is not occurring. C is not occurring, which means it is only A. So right option is option D. Got it? A occurs, B does not occur, C does not occur. So this is what is the answer. Clear? Very good, guys. Now we'll proceed with the last concept for the day. So moving on to conditional probability. Now, what is this conditional probability? You can see here. First of all, understand this concept of conditional probability comes only when the two events are dependent, which means one event will depend upon the other event. Okay, only when there is some dependency, when the events are dependent events, we have the concept of conditional probability. You can see here probability of occurrence of event B given that A is already occurred. This is how you read it. P of B slash A means probability of occurrence of event B when A has already been occurred. So what is the formula? Probability of A intersection B divided by probability of A. Basically, which event has already occurred, we write in the denominator. Here, A has already been occurred. That's why it is probability of A. Now, similarly, if we have probability of A slash B, which means probability of occurrence of A, given that B has already occurred. So again, numerator will be same. Here, what has already occurred is B. So probability of B will come in the denominator. Understood? So this is how the conditional probability works. But remember, the conditional probability concept applies only when the two events are dependent events. If the events are independent events, there will not be any conditional probability at all. Okay, this is very important for you to understand. Now, we'll solve one question on conditional probability and then wind up the class. Example number 15.17. In a group of 20 males and 15 females, 12 males and 8 females are service holders. So, 20 males and 15 females. Correct? So, what is total? 35. Correct? Now, 12 males and 8 females are service holders. What is the probability that a person selected at random from the group is a service holder given that the selected person is a male? First of all, tell me, see what is important to understand is if a question is asked like this, now you know that this is based on conditional probability, you will solve using that formula. But imagine in the entire question paper of 100 marks where you have questions from maths, LR and stats put together. How will you differentiate which question is from stats? Okay, now let's understand. You understood one particular question is from stats. In that also, you should then understand this question belongs to the chapter of conditional probability. How do you know? Basically, from probability in that conditional probability. Always understand when in the question they tell you given that something is occurred, which means that it is based on conditional probability where one of the events is already occurred. Whenever you see this given that something has happened, it is conditional probability concept. Very, very important for you to understand. Got it? When you see given that, apply conditional probability. Now let's come back. So first thing you have to do is calculate N of S. N of S means total number of outcomes. You remember I told you in combinations concept question, first thing we calculate is total outcomes. The total outcomes in the form of set, if we tell it is N of S, which means N of sample space. N of S is equal to total, which is 35, correct? We calculated the total here, which is 35. So, N of S is equal to 35 total number of outcomes. In this, what is the probability of having a service holder? What is the probability of getting service holder? First, we have to calculate individual events. Now, they have asked you two events here. There are two events. First event is that he is a service holder. Second event is that the selected person is a male. So from the group of 35 people, you are selecting a person at random. So what is the chance that he is a service holder? What is the chance that he is a male? That's what we have two events. Probability that he is a service holder, probability that he is a male. These are the two separate events which we have to calculate first. Now we have to check probability of him being a service holder. Again, what is the formula? Favorable outcomes by total outcomes. So how many service holders are there? Can you check? The service holders are 12 males plus 8 females. 12 plus 8, which is 20. There are 20 service holders. So here, favorable is 20 divided by total number, which is 35. So probability of the person selected being a service holder will be 20 by 35. Similarly, probability of the person selected to be male. You have to check again favorable by total. How many males are there in the question? You can see 20 males are there, correct? So it is 20 favorable divided by total. This is probability of him being a service holder, probability of the person being a male. Now what is said? The person selected at random from the group is a service holder given that the selected person is a male, which means you already know that the selected person is a male. So, already known event comes after the slash, correct? So, probability of SH we want given that he is a male, right? This is the event which is already occurred. What is already occurred, which is already known, because they have said here that the selected person is a male. They already know that the selected person is a male. So, what is the formula? Formula is probability of SH intersection male divided by already occurred event, which is probability of male. So, what do you mean by SH intersection male? SH intersection male means the person who is a service holder, the person is a service holder, at the same time the person is a male, which means we want to know how many males are also service holders. So if you read the question again, 20 males are there, 15 females are there, 12 males are service holders. That's what I want. How many males are also service holder, which is 12, correct? So this is 12 divided by 35 because this is total. I am asking the probability. Probability is always favorable by total, which is 12 by 35 divided by probability of him being a male. That is, we have already calculated, which is 20 by 35. So if I solve this, I will get 12 by 20 as the answer. Clear? So in this question, always understand, first you have to check which probability we are finding and which is the event which is already occurred. Now they said that the already occurred event is, which is the already occurred event, given that the selected person is a male. So already occurred event is male. This event, this is already occurred, which will come after the slash. So service holder will come here. So when conditional probability question is there, first find the individual probabilities. First, probability of him being a service holder, probability that he is a male. Once you calculate this, apply the formula. Formula is service holder intersection male divided by probability of male, which is already occurred. Correct? If you remember, P of B slash A, formula is P of A intersection B divided by P of A, where P of A is already occurred. Similarly, male is already occurred here. Now they said probability, so which we want favorable upon total. What is the favorable? The service holders who are also males. There are 12 service holders who are also males, which is 12 divided by 35 whole divided by probability of male. We just calculated 20 by 35. 35 will get cancelled. What remains is 12 by 20. So this is the probability of, this is the conditional probability ultimately. Understood? So whenever in the question you see given, which is the concept based on conditional probability, understand that. In that also, what you need to understand is which event is already occurred, you have to find first. That will come after the slash, and that will come in the denominator. Okay? This is the concept of conditional probability. So today's class will wind up. We just have two more concepts left in probability chapter, which is joint probability and random variable. We'll quickly finish this tomorrow's session and then move to the other chapters. Now, after this, whatever chapters are pending, which is theoretical distribution, which is statistical description of data and index numbers, all three are very, very simple chapters, purely dependent upon the formulas. So tomorrow's class, we are going to quickly just brush up those concepts. I just wanted to take a probability in detail because generally you guys fear probability chapter. So once you know this chapter is very simple, it's very easy, then you will get confidence in this entire subject. Okay, that's the reason I took this particular chapter in detail. The rest of the three chapters, because it's very simple, we'll just brush up the formula and wind up. Okay. So hope you all understood today's class. If yes, please give me a thumbs up or like anything so that I understand you all are with me in this probability chapter. Okay. Hope this has been little, at least this particular session has given you, at least some confidence that you can crack this particular chapter in the exam. If yes, please let me know in the comments and we can wind up the session. So the remaining concepts from this chapter and the remaining chapters will finish in the tomorrow session. Thank you everyone. Have a nice remaining whatever day, night you have. Okay. So thank you everyone. See you tomorrow.